What's going on, guys? Bluntguts here. I am doing a Watcher Realms video for you today, and today we are going to be talking about Trial of the Watchers, which is the faction trial for the Watchers faction. We are going to be doing stage 12. I'm doing it obviously without Power of Dominance. I did beat this a couple of weeks ago, so I do have my team comp all set up. The nice thing about this is that the team that I'm going to be using can actually be used to satisfy the requirements on stage 10, which requires you to deploy 10 heroes from the Watchguard, and then also on stage 11, which is the kind of the odd requirement is clear the stage with all heroes alive. So we are going to be doing that anyway on stage 12. We should be able to get this down without anybody dying. If we don't, I'm just going to restart it, and you'll only see the one where I did. So, so you're going to see the successful attempt, but I did just do it on my phone a little bit ago, so I do know it's possible with this team comp and gearing. So if you do mimic what I've got going on here, you should be able to get the requirements for 10 and 11 as well. Let's take a look at the team here real quick. So we've got Ian as the lead here. He's just there for the stat bonus. We are not going to be deploying him at all. I have heard that he is not a very good hero. I didn't get him until actually somewhat recently. So I don't have any personal experience with him. But from what I've read, he's kind of underwhelming as a lord. But the stat bonus is nice, so we're going to be using him for that. We are going to be using Regulus and Livian as our defenders. Regulus, I think, is somebody who gets pulled a lot. He's one of the more common legendaries in the game, and I don't think that's really a bad thing. He is a really, really solid defender. So if you do pull Regulus, do not feel bad about it. He is going to help you. He's not the sexiest of pulls, but he is somebody that is going to really help you out in a lot of different areas in the game, especially if you don't have strong defenders like say a Brook here or something like that. He is one of the better ones in the game. As far as Livian's concerned, she is a Faction Trials All-Star. If you don't have her at 6 stars, I would definitely recommend that you upgrade her. She is a key piece in this stage, but she's also a key piece in the Piercer's Faction Trials, where there are no other defenders in the faction. So you are going to need her to complete the Piercer's Faction Trials. She is 100% worth it. I didn't actually realize what a fantastic defender she was until I used her in both this stage and the Piercer's Trials. So definitely big fan of Livian at this point. We do have 3 marksmen in here to satisfy the requirement. Brienne is actually not going to get deployed. I do think that if you don't have Allura, you could potentially use Brienne in the role that I'm going to use Allura in here, which is primarily to take out the mages that come on the right side of the map. They are kind of the biggest problem here. Unless you don't have big AoE damage, which you should, because everybody, and I mean everybody, should have Iona. I don't care if you are a free-to-play, if you're a spender at all. This is, for $5 you can get the Iona pack. It is 100% worth it, if for no other reason than just getting this stage done. Or maybe you're lucky enough to pull her. That works too, I suppose, but she is super, super rare. I've never pulled another copy of her. What I have done, though, is I've invested 5 soul stones into her. She's absolutely worth it. She is a legendary in disguise. She does a lot better than a lot of the legendaries in the game, in my opinion, actually, particularly when fully awakened. So I just want to show you some of these awakenings here so you get an idea of why she's so powerful. So everybody knows she is an AoE mage. She's not on like a Comet or a Boreas level, although I do think that she is going to be one of my main DPS when I do a Gear Aid 121 guide without Comet and Boreas, which I'm planning to release later in this week. She is just so phenomenal. You are unlikely to pull 6 copies of her total, or 5 copies if you did buy the pack. You're probably not going to pull that many of her. I'm about 3,500, maybe 3,300 summons in at this point, and I have never pulled her aside from the pack that I bought, but she is Awakened 5. And so let's take a look at the Awakenings. During the ultimate, each attack triggers a Starburst, which is the AoE that you see popping off and stunning folks. So she does not just good damage, but she also does a bit of crowd control as well. A2 is 5% attack. That is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but not really the sexiest of awakenings. So Awaken 3 increases the damage of Starburst by 50%. So now each attack is going to guarantee a Starburst during the ultimate, based on the A1, right? And then we're also going to get 50% more damage on that. So this is really pumping up her damage. I think that at her A0, she is a good kind of utility hero. She does some good stuff, but she doesn't bring quite enough damage. But when you get her awakened up, she does a lot more damage. Crit rate plus 8%. That's going to give us some flexibility when we gear. I love it when champions have some inherent crit rate on it. It means that oftentimes I can bring some higher crit rate pieces for 4 of the slots, and then the last slot I can bring in a baller piece that may not have any crit rate on it, but has loads of other really great stats. You all know that you've gotten that Ancient that you thought you were disappointed in. This is the kind of hero that you're going to use it on, because you're going to have a little bit more flexibility with your gearing because of the crit rate bonus that is inherent on her. And then finally, her Awaken 5 increases the ultimate duration by 5 seconds. These are always, in my opinion, the most powerful awakenings on really any champion in the game. Any kind of ultimate increase is amazing, and particularly when you've got a really strong ultimate like Iona does. And then just to kind of further hammer home that point here, she's got a really low-cost ultimate. When it's fully skilled up, it's only 700 rage. She's going to get that up real quick. You're going to see we're going to be able to use it multiple times in here, and we're really going to be able to make use of this Soulbound Arcana set that we've got on her. All right, guys, let's get into a run here. So the first thing we're going to do when we get in there is we are going to drop one of our tanks down on this bottom lane. We're going to drop them forward a bit so that we can still hit the enemies from these center tiles that are down below these airborne portals that are up at the top. Idril in particular is who I'm going to drop on this left center tile. She is going to be able to hit things in front of the tanks that way. Our next deployment is going to be Camille, my Camille is actually only 4 stars. I did not realize what a fantastic healer she was until I started this. I mean, I used her when I first started my account, but I quickly outgrew her. And I don't know that I really did outgrow her based on what I've seen here. She does really, really good healing, even at 4 stars as a rare. So very impressed by Camille. And I certainly made good use of her in this stage and all the preceding stages in the Watchguard. So you can see I did drop Iona down there. We are going to use her ultimate as soon as it's up, for one reason, to stack the Soulbound Arcana stacks based on her gear set, but also just because a lot of this stage is about clearing out these AoE enemies that are going to be in front of the tanks a lot. You can see if they do stack up, they can do some pretty significant damage. There is not a lot of damage from any individual units in this stage, with the exception of the mages that come out on the far right. We are going to drop Alistair up here, who's going to help us out with he's attacking this big ogre guy right now, but he is going to help out primarily with the airborne enemies that come out of these center portals at the top. We're also going to put Idril, and we're going to have her facing down, but the nice thing is, because of her ultimate, she is going to be able to target in different directions, in particular the airborne enemies. And then finally, we're going to drop Lightlock up here, who is going to be able to provide some healing to Alistair, as well as to Idril when they take damage. And they are going to take some damage, in particular from these mages, like this one that just spawned on the far right of the screen there. To kind of counter those mages, we're going to put Allura facing to the right. And her main job is going to be to try to take some of the health off of the mages. The mages do splash damage, so they're going to do a single target attack that is then going to provide some additional damage. There you go. You see it just targeted Idril, but it also hit Allura as well. So it's important to kind of minimize the amount of impact that that's going to have. So I do like Allura for that role, because she's invisible. The mages can't target her as soon as they would otherwise. So that does really seem to help out a lot. So I would certainly recommend that. Obviously, I dropped Regulus down there as well, who's going to be kind of covering the other lane next to Livian. And the nice thing about Regulus is that he does have on his ultimate the ability to share some of the damage, and he increases his HP. And I don't know if it's, let's take a look at the ultimate actually. Let's see what it says. Increases Regulus's max HP by 45%, which is very nice, while sharing 40% of damage dealt to allies surrounding him for 12 seconds. So he's going to provide some damage mitigation, not just for himself, but also for his surrounding allies, which when you've got some squishies like Iona and like Camille, that is really going to help out. So if these enemies do stack up, we are going to have hopefully an answer for that. You can see I'm trying to use Alistair's ultimate up here to help take out some of these airborne enemies. They are a bit of a threat as well, so it is important to get as many of them down as possible. Really, the biggest danger here, aside from those mages I was talking about earlier, is getting overrun. So if you have 2 defenders down there, you want to make sure that they both have a what's it called? It used to be Olog's Wall. I can never remember what the name of the artifact is, but it is the defender artifact that provides an additional block to the defender when they're wearing it. So right now, both Regulus and Livian can actually block 4 targets rather than the base 3. Be using Iona's ultimate down there to help clear out these mobs. And I mean, just look at that. This is damage from an epic without any kind of attack boost. No inspiration is being given to her right there. So I don't know. It's just I was blown away by the amount of damage she was able to put out. The damage is going to ramp up quite a bit there. So I am going to use Regulus's ultimate, and hopefully that's going to be enough to kind of weather the storm of these mages right here. I'll hold my breath. If anybody dies, this is usually where it happens. These mages, when there's multiple of them, they can do quite a bit of damage, but it looks like we are going to be good this time. And there we go. We got it, guys. And that clear, we didn't actually have to keep everybody alive in order to get 3 stars on this stage. The requirement for this stage is, I believe, shoot, what is it? Let's see. So to play 3 marksmen, you don't actually have to place 3 marksmen. You just have to have 3 marksmen on your team. That's why Brienne worked right there. But we would have satisfied the requirements for stage 11 as well, clear the stage with all heroes alive. And then, of course, we did have 10 heroes from the Watchguard on our team, so we would have satisfied the requirement for stage 10 as well. So that is the run, guys. I hope that it helps you out. Let's take a look at the gearing a little bit. It is pretty solid gear on most of these heroes. Come back and buy you later there, cheapo pack. That looks like a good deal. So let's see. Here's the Watchguard. It's this one, right? Okay. So let's start with Alistair. He is in a Soulbound Arcana set. He doesn't have to be in Soulbound Arcana. You could really put him in just really offset gear, I think is fine. You want to have decent stats on him. You can see I do have pretty solid attack on him. He's just under 18k attack. In all of these stages, I've said this in other videos, but I'll say it again here, having high attack in these later stages when enemy defense and magic resist really start to climb up as the enemy level is higher, that is going to really help you out, because the way the damage is calculated in this game, the first check is they take your hero's attack and they subtract the appropriate damage type from it, whether it's magic or physical damage. So if it's magic, they're going to subtract the enemy's magic resist from your attack. They're gonna, if it's physical damage, they're gonna subtract the enemy's defense from your attack, and that is going to modify your damage. So if you have only 10,000 attack and the enemy's defense is 9,000, your attack effectively becomes 1,000 in that case. So stacking attack can really, really help you out when you're facing some of these higher end game enemies. Like I said, you don't need Soulbound Arcana. It does help out the longer you are in there, but I think I only popped his ultimate twice, so not really an ideal set in that case, but you can see the other stats are pretty solid. He's not quite 100% crit. I didn't really concentrate on that. Crit damage is about 320, which is solid, especially considering that he has almost 18k attack, but he does have a really, really high base attack as well. I guess that's because he's an Arbiter. I don't know if it's the highest for a mage in the game, but it's certainly higher than all of my other legendary mages, so definitely something to keep in mind. As far as an artifact is concerned, I do have a big boy tier of Twilight on him. I put this on him because, rather than Iona, because his role isn't actually as important in here. I've only got 2 tiers of Twilight. I've got one that is rank 10, which is on, I believe I put it on Iona. Let's see. Yep, I put that one on Iona. I wanted to make this a little bit more friendly in case you haven't had as much luck pulling some of these fantastic artifacts. He can do his role, I can say from personal experience, just fine with other trinkets. I think I had him in a title ring the first time that I did this, and it was no problem. So just use whatever you have. Use the best artifacts that you can. I think what a lot of people want in these stages is to be able to just kind of pop their heroes in as is and have them beat the harder stages in the faction trials. And my experience is that you really do need to move a lot of gear around, including artifacts. That's going to really up your chances of success in these instances. Anyways, let's get on to the next hero. So you can see I've got Allura in an Indral's Gaze. Going back to what I was saying about the defense and the magic resist on higher level enemies, Indral's Gaze really counteracts that really well. Dealing critical damage has a 25% chance to ignore 40% of that defense or magic resist for 3 seconds. So if you've got 100% crit, if you've got a fast attack speed, you're going to have that defense and magic resist reduction up nearly 100%. It is super important, and it does help out a lot. I've got the same thing on Idril. Let's take a look at the gear. She is an Infernal Roar. That is the ideal set for Allura, as far as I know. You can see the stats are good, but not crazy. We've got a little less, or a little over 14,000 attack. Attack speed is very high at 462. It doesn't really have to be that high. We are well into the point where we're getting diminishing returns on attack speed at that point. If you can get her anywhere between 300 and 350, that should be more than sufficient. Crit damage, I'd say if you can get that between 250 and 300%, that should be more than sufficient. The Rage regen is just kind of coincidental there. It's nice, but it didn't specifically gear for that. So that is just what was on the gear. Regulus, he is in some tanky gear. He has got 111,000 HP, which is the most important thing, but you can also see he's got a healthy amount of defense as well. If you can get some HP percent main stat gear on the right-hand side with some solid defense percent and defense substats, that's going to really help you out. I'd say if you can get the defense anywhere close to this, that would be great. He's got really high base defense, which is nice as well. It helps you stack up that defense, but the defense is kind of secondary. The main thing is getting as much HP as possible on him. As far as his artifact is concerned, you really do need a Bastion Ring, I think, in this stage, because there are so many enemies that are coming at the Soul Crystal, and you do need to wait until they group up so that you can AoE them down. You're going to need that extra block. Otherwise, you're going to leak, and you are not going to be able to 3-star the stage. So on both Regulus and on Livian, I do have this Bastion Ring, a.k.a. Olog's Wall. It is the best mitigation trinket in the game. I don't know why I keep wanting to call it trinkets. I feel like my WoW is just, these are trinkets from WoW in my mind, so I have trouble with that. These artifacts, this artifact in particular, is super important. So I would definitely recommend you use this one if you do have it. Didn't use Cratch. You could have used Constance in there. I didn't use her on my first clear, and I'm not sure that everybody really has her, so I didn't want to plug her in. Like I was saying before, Allura, I think you could substitute with Brienne if you don't have another option. Iona, I think she does need to be A5 on this. I think it's going to be hard to do it otherwise. Maybe there, I don't know what other AoE mages there are in the game for the Watchguard faction, but maybe there's another option. You could use a legendary one instead. Maybe you could use Alistair down there, but I wasn't really getting enough damage out of Alistair when I had him down at that spot. So yeah, I would recommend Iona. I think she's a solid investment, even if you don't end up using her extensively outside of faction trials. She is a big piece of both my Watcher and Cultist faction trials teams, so I think she's definitely worthwhile. I do think that Soulbound Arcana is a really great decision for her. She has a low-cost ultimate. Like I believe I said in the video, her ultimate cost is only 700, so she's going to be able to cycle through that relatively quickly, and you are going to be able to build up those stacks. That's really going to help you out towards the later waves, which are kind of progressively harder. So as far as gearing is concerned, she, like I said before, she does have this Tear of Twilight artifact on her. It is only a level 10 Tear of Twilight, so you know it's providing 20% attack, which is not insignificant. Don't get me wrong, but if all you have is like one of those White Tower trinkets, which is kind of the legendary version of the Tear of Twilight, if you have a higher ranked one of that, I think you can more or less equal what you're getting from here, or if all else fails, you could put a Keen Wisdom on her and get 16% instead of the 20% that I've got here. So definitely something that there are options, I guess is what I'm saying ultimately. But as far as stats are concerned, you can see she is crit capped. She does have about 350 speed. Her attack is at 14,530. Remember, she does have a significantly lower base attack than, say, like Alistair or any of the other legendary mages in the game, so that is going to kind of cap what you can get as far as your total attack is concerned. But if you can get her anywhere close to this, especially with an artifact like a White Tower Trinket or a Tear of Twilight, you are going to be starting to get to that point where she's got enough attack to do some serious damage. Crit damage could probably be a little bit higher. I wouldn't mind getting her over 300, but you can see she did just fine on here like this. We'll see. I may need to put some better gear on her in order to get her in my Gear Raid 121 kind of free-to-play clear that I'm planning to put out later in the week. I think that that's going to be important for her, but this gear did just fine in this stage. So Idril, Infernal Roar is her best set. She is fantastic with it. You are going to want to put some attack on her. Honestly, I probably could use some more attack on her. She is somebody that really, really benefits from having a Dolores or a Constance involved, so that might be something to consider if you do have Constance. But getting her base attack up is really helpful. You can see she's got good attack speed. Obviously, she's crit cap, and she has a really good crit damage. That does help out a lot, but Idril is not the most important hero in this. She is more in a support role, mainly to add a little bit of damage down by the soul crystals and to provide some attacks on those airborne enemies that are coming out of the top portals in the center of the map. I mentioned before, she does have a level 25 Idril's Gaze on her. I think if you don't have a level 25 one, the lower rank will work almost as well. It only provides 30% reduction in damage and magic resist before the final rank of the artifact, but it's fantastic even before rank 25. So if you've got one, I would pop it on her and I wouldn't think any more about it. Livian is, like I said, in a Bastion ring. She has some offset tank gear that I put on her. See, she's got about 83k HP, about 7k defense. You can really tell that she is an epic and not a legendary based on the stats, comparing her to Regulus. But one thing I will call attention to, she's got this really awesome ultimate, receives the blessing of the elf deity, gaining an additional 30% physical damage reduction permanently. Meanwhile, the shield bounce triggered by attack can restore 1% more HP. So this is you're just going to stack up physical damage reduction by using this ultimate. It is pretty ridiculous. She does work. She does a lot of work, and she was great here, but even more so in Piercer Trials, she is essential. So if you've got her, definitely worth the rank up in my mind. Gearing on tanks. If she's dying, you need to put more HP on her. That's really the best advice I can give you. Make sure she has a Bastion ring so she can block as many enemies as possible and give you a little bit more time to clear out those enemies with your Iona or whatever AoE champion you are using down there at the bottom. And then I think finally, I think this is the last one here, right? Oh no, we got to look at Camille as well. But so Lightlock, I tossed one of my healer sets on him. You can see if you can get around 400 speed, I think that's kind of the ideal spot right there. A little bit of healing effect. I've got 142 on him, but I think you could get away with only doing 100. You could also, the attack, he's only got 9k attack. He's an epic. That could be higher, but as you can see, he did his job just fine. He's really only healing 2 targets, so I think these stats are more than fine. He's only rank 5, I should note as well, and he doesn't have an artifact on him, so lots of wiggle room there. He could be in worse gear, and you could correct some of the things that I missed, and he would still be able to do his job okay. I just wanted to take a look at the gear and see. I had some. Okay, so this I wasn't sure. For Codex, I did have some HP percent gear on healers. I wasn't sure if that was still on him or on the gear set that I swapped onto him, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. So got him in Asclepius. That's not really important. I would just use your best offset pieces. Healer gear is not something that, in my experience, you really need to min-max in most instances. I'm sure that'll change at some point moving forward, but that has been my experience so far. Where are you? Camille. Okay, so Camille is the final one. Contrary to what I just said, I do think that if you were going to use her as I have her right here, so I've got her, like I said, only at 4 stars. She's only got 32k BP. She doesn't have an artifact, so I guess there is some wiggle room, but I did put a solid invigoration set on her. She has just under 400 speed, 173 healing effect when you count in the inherent healing effect that she has on her kit. And attack is real low because she's only got 1800 base attack at rank 4. I'm sure that would be much higher if she was rank 5 or 6, but she's only got 5600 attack, and she did some work. I mean, this girl, she really impressed me. So good work, Camille. Anyway, guys, that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed my breakdown of the Watchers faction trial. I think this one wasn't one of the harder ones, probably one of the intermediate difficulty in my experience. I think I was able to clear it the first time I really put some solid attempts into it, but there was some trial and error, and hopefully you can benefit from the experimentation that I had to do in order to kind of result in this 3-star at the end. So best of luck. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. I'm going to be putting out more walkthroughs for these faction trial stages, and I am also trying to, I think I'm going to start trying to do some more free-to-play friendly content where I am showing you how you can beat some of the harder stages in the game, even if you don't have the most diverse set of champions on your roster. But if you have any specific requests that you'd like me to do, Somebody in the last video had asked me for a Gear Raid 121 clear without using Comet and Boreas. I'm going to be working on that next, but I would love some more ideas, so please let me know. Again, please like and subscribe. Have a great day. Good luck, everybody.